Notification of the news media. And would someone please make a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Second.
All right. All in favor, please raise your right hand. And so it's passed unanimously. Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation. Mr. Branch, would you do an invocation for us? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Lord, we just thank you so much for today, Lord. We just ask you to continue blessing our district, Lord. We ask you to pray for our students, our staff, our parents, and Lord, just be with us tonight in this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Branch. And now, would someone please make a motion to go into executive session for the following items? Personnel matters, employment matters, receipt of legal advice related to pending or threatened claims, settlement of a legal claim, other matters covered by attorney-client privilege.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Second.
No attorneys here to discuss it.
They should be here already. But regardless of that, all in favor, please raise your right hand.
Move forward.
Yes, and the motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. So, I need a motion to do so.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. The motion's carried unanimously with those at the table. We need to cover a couple of things could you make the recommendations for the hires and resignations, please?
Make a motion that the board receive the two recommendations for election this evening. Those two recommendations are fourth grade teacher at Bennettsville Intermediate Middle School and a eighth grade teacher at Wallace Elementary Middle.
Is there a motion, please?
I move that we approve the administration's recommendation for hire and the rehiring, I believe, of one.
Second.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. Is there anything else on that list?
Not employment matters.
Right, okay. All right. No action was taken, no decision was made. However, there is a motion to be made. Ms. Onation?
Madam Chairman, I move that the board hereby approve the settlement agreement with Dr. Helena Tiller that has been reviewed with the board in executive session and authorize its execution on behalf of the board.
Is there a second? Okay. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair, I'd just like to say that we're doing this in the best interest of the district so that we can move on, and in order to save any further attorney's fees or any issuance of legal action, we believe that this is in the best interest of all parties involved with this agreement.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor of the agreement of the motion, please raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All opposed? And what are you doing, Mr. Coachman?
I'm abstaining.
Okay. All right. Did you get that, Ms. Robinson? Okay. Thank you very much. All right.
This time I won't have to excuse.
Good enough. Let's see. Where are we? We need approval of minutes. Does anyone? Yes.
Motion that we approve the minutes for September 10th regular board meeting.
All right.
I second.
All right. All in favor, raise your right hand. And the motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. Points of celebration. Would you continue?
Yes, I'll ask Ms. Anderson, Connie Anderson, if you would, we have you going to pull it up? Okay, he's going to pull it up. I didn't know if you wanted to, but I do want to take a moment, and this is going to cover two items. It's the points of celebration as well as the thank you. Many of you know this community was devastated recently by Hurricane Florence. We were out of school approximately 9 days. Many of the homes here in the Marlboro County District received substantial water damage due to flooding. But I wanted to make sure we took time out to acknowledge and say thank you to those that have stepped up to help us in our time of need. We were able to, I think, galvanize the troops, so to speak, as it relates to how we help our community. Showing that hashtag 345 is not just something that we push and promote in schools, but we also do it for our community. We are one community, we stand together, we work together, and we help each other in our needs. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we worked this way every day, and that a tragic event did not have to bring us together as it did? And so as we wait on this power slide, we just want to show some of the moments that were captured during the hurricane. he exits, that I do want to say once again, thank you. Thank you to the community. Thank you to many of the school districts that have reached out to us to ask what is it that we need to assist us. Beaufort County, Spartanburg 7, Lawrence 55, Orangeburg County Schools, Lexington 3, Church Builders, Target donated over 125,000 bottles of water, Gatorade, and soda. Our transportation department stepped up big. State Representative Pat Hennigan, with her and a few others, we were able to secure five trucks that brought food and supplies, cleaning supplies, much needed materials to our district. We've had over $10,000 in donations, and the donations continue to come in. We have the churches, the Methodist churches of Saluda, Edgefield, and Greenwood County, BSN Sporting Goods, United Methodist Group. We have board members come out and assist with unloading the trucks, and we thank you for that, as well as our principals, administrators, students, and staff of Marlboro County. I want to say thank you, because again, we can do more together than we can alone. And so for that, I'm humble and I'm grateful by the effort that has been shown to Marlboro County.
Parents' Day highlights.
Ms. Margaret Quick.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Dr. McCord. On this past Saturday, the district celebrated our annual Parents' Day. Parents and community members had the opportunity to participate in various workshops, such as Chromebooks 101, the annual Title I meeting for all schools, cyberbullying, the special ed process, Read to Succeed, and much more. Despite the devastation that our community has recently endured due to Hurricane Florence, we had approximately 100 participants that ranged from parents, community members, vendors, students, and Marlboro County School District staff. On behalf of Marlboro County School District Office of Parenting and Family Literacy, I would like to personally thank all the individuals that supported our 2018 Parents' Day, and we will be putting pictures on the web shortly. Thank you.
Thank you.
One-to-one device rollout.
This is one that I'm particularly excited about. Ms. McCall is going to give us an update. Many of you know and you've heard us talk about moving this district to a one-to-one district, and that is providing devices for all of our students. Not being able to do it immediately was definitely something that kind of slowed us down, but we were able today to finally get devices out to all 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And one-to-one means students will be able to take these devices home that will help continue their educational learning, extends beyond, of course, the school day, and allows students, if in the event we have another catastrophe, we can continue learning without the students being in school, which could keep us from having to possibly make up school days or miss instructional time. So, Ms. McCall, again, I'm excited about this. If you would just share with us what you saw today.
Okay. Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. McCord, good evening. As Dr. McCord said, today was a very exciting day for our 6th through 8th grade students. They've been using their Chromebooks since the beginning of the school year in class. They were able to take those Chromebooks home today, and we have a short video to share with you some of what we saw today.
Be the last one standing, 2 hands in the air, I'm a champion. You'll be looking up at me when it's over. I live for
the effect of us taking the Chromebooks home, it'll help me so I'll be able to do my PowerPoints, projects, research, because the laptop I have broke, so it'll help.
I'm a soldier, yeah, I'm a fighter like Rocky. Put your flag on your back like Ali. Yeah, I'm the greatest, I'm stronger. My dues can't lose.
excited for us to bring our Chromebooks home, because that way, when we have our notes on the Chromebooks, I don't have to worry about losing my notes or anything like that, and it's much easier instead of, rummaging through my book bag to find my notes, but it's just right there on the computer.
I've been working my whole life, and now it's do or die. I am invincible, unbreakable, unstoppable.
We're working on virtual cars with motion and acceleration. I see Chromebooks being able, each one child has got their own personal simulation in front of them. It's a whole lot better than stopping and having to go to the board and come back. They can work, I can facilitate their learning as we go, and they're actually getting to put their hands on.
Will impact our learning because we'll be able to communicate with our teachers better, and we wouldn't have to worry about not being able to complete our work when the teachers are around.
When they write my story, they're gonna say that I did it for the glory. But don't think that I did it for the fame, yeah. I did it for the love of the game, yeah. And this is my chance I'm taking. All them old records I'm breaking. All you people watching on the TV.
Some of the things that we did in preparation for today, we started with the parent survey at Open House at all the schools, not just the 6th through 8th schools. We have also had trainings for teachers on Google. We will also start with digital literacy, training them how to be safe online and things of that sort. Cases were purchased for each Chromebook. So today, students that took home Chromebooks took home a device, a case, and a charger, which will stay at home for them. We also have ETV in the district this week, working, training teachers during their planning periods and after school on Google. So we are very excited about this endeavor. We have done a lot, but we have a long way to go, and we're excited about that.
I want to say thank you to you, Ms. McCall, Jimmy Toole, George Coleman, our principals at the middle school level for making this a smooth process, Ms. Marquita, all the staff. I think you've done a great job in getting this done. And I think it's an exciting moment. Again, we're bringing our students up to the same level of playing field as other students across the state. The devices are not to be used as toys, and speaking with the students, they can articulate why they have the devices, the need for the devices, and why they believe they will help them continue to grow and successfully graduate high school and be college and career ready. So I was very pleased with what I saw today, and I look forward to us rolling this out for 9th, 10th, and 11th graders in January. Again, that's depending on how well West can find us the money. So thank you.
Thank you all.
How many, I think we kind of brought this up a lot, how many students actually took the books home?
I got the last count around lunchtime. It was right at 300, but the bookkeepers were telling me that they still had students coming in.
And McCall is out.
And McCall is out on intercession.
Pardon me?
McCall is on intercession.
Okay.
So they will get their Chromebooks on the 15th to go home.
Okay.
They've already been
So you
issued to
get
them. Whatever.
Approximately 300 students
Yes.
got it today.
Yes.
Which schools? You said 6th grade?
Blenheim, School of Discovery, and Wallace.
And we do, as we made mention when I brought this to you initially, we do have a $20 fee that we ask parents to pay. Of course, you know, $20 won't replace our deductible is more than $5,000. We're just asking parents to help us so that if one does break or we do have damage, we want to be able to replace it. We don't want any student to be without. And so right now, every student has access to a device at school, but we want every student to have access to a device to take home as well.
Okay. Thank you all.
Marlboro County High School partnership with Marlboro County Sheriff's Department.
Another exciting piece of news. I'm going to ask Mr. Farr to come up and share it with us.
Good evening, Madam Chairperson, board members, and Dr. McCord. I'd like to say I'm excited about a partnership that I developed with Sheriff Lemon and the Sheriff Department of Bennettsville County, Marlboro County. They agreed to partner with us for security for this year to finish out the season for the football season for JV and varsity football game. With this partnership, it's going to save the school about $6,000 to $10,000, depends on how far we go in the playoffs, and also they're going to work the JV game for us for free. So they want to develop that partnership with Marlboro County High School.
I think that's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for saying thank you.
I'm saying thank you, it's the next part on the agenda.
Oh, no, I did that earlier.
All right, okay, we've done that.
To the
Okay.
community.
Public comment. Ms. Sonia Thomas would like to speak about the Interact Club. She signed up. I don't know where she is.
She's not here. She's stepping away because she has a misunderstanding.
Of what?
We wasn't having an Interact Club this year, but we are.
I think that's not really her concern. It's not the Interact Club, it's another concern. Okay. I got it. Never mind. All right, so we've done public comment. All right. You want to reschedule the board work session?
I would, as you know, because of Hurricane Florence, we were unable to have the board work session on last Saturday because it would have conflicted with Parents' Day. But I move that we do have an opportunity to reschedule. I do understand that we have a conference coming up later on this month, perhaps. At the time, we can talk about some possible dates.
Okay, got that done. Student achievement.
I want to ask
EOC
Dr.
scores.
Harris to come up and share with us some information that we received as it relates to end-of-course scores for Marlboro County.
Thank you.
Greetings, Madam Chairperson, other members of the board, Dr. McCord, Superintendent. I stand here as Chief Officer of Instructional Services to present to you a little information about our end-of-course scores now that we have moved away from raw scores and are actually dealing with real data with our scores that have recently released by the State Department of Education. Which enclosed in your packet, just a little bit about our scores, and we spoke about this earlier in this summer. We actually experienced an increase in performance in terms of passing on 3 of the 4 areas. In those areas, English 1, Algebra 1, and also in biology. We had a slight decline in U.S. history, which is noted in the summary in the back of your packet. And what I provided for you is actually the passage rate, the percentage passage rate for English 1 for Marlboro County High School, 71%. For Algebra 1, it was 52%. For biology, 48%. And for U.S. history, 37%. What I've also included for you is a comparison of the PD region. We have a PD region and a PD consortium, which consists of 17 districts. If you notice, the rankings are here go down to 18 because, as Dr. McCord has asked us in the past, we've kind of included the state as a ad hoc district in these rankings, and so the state is actually listed as a district in your packets. If you look in the area of English 1, Marlboro County, out of the 18 districts, which would be the 17 districts of the PD region and the state district, perform 9th out of 18 districts. So, you know, we're not at the top yet, but in English, we are performing better than half of the districts in the PD region. In the area of Algebra 1, Marlboro County High School actually performed 13th out of the 18 districts. And so with that one, even though we have made tremendous growth in algebra, we're still in the lower half of the districts as far as our comparison to the other PD regions, and that's something that we're going to look at. In the area of biology, Marlboro County, it was again in their 13th out of 18 districts. Again, that is not better than half of the districts, and it's in the lower quadrant if we're speaking in terms of data, and that's one thing that we want to continue to work on. In the area of U.S. history, we only perform better than one district in the PD region, so that's an area of extreme challenge, and we want to make sure that we address those challenges as we move forward. If you look, you have a sheet that has your 3-year comparison data. And it shows you some of the growth data that's happened in these subject areas over the years. As you can see, we showed a steady growth in Algebra 1 and in English 1, and those are our highest performing areas. We actually show kind of a stable movement in terms of biology. We were at 52% in 2016 and 2017, and we dropped back slightly at 48%. And then in the area of U.S. history, for the last 3 years, we have not done as well, and that's the area we speak of challenges. As you notice when you're looking at your packets, you actually see some scores that fluctuate back and forth because some of these scores involve the average of the entire district, which would include our 8th graders who took ELC, but we also wanted to show how our high school fared against these districts. The last form you have in there has to do with WIN, which is our Ready to Work assessment data. WIN is the new Ready to Work assessment exam that replaces work keys for the state. It's the new vendor. It's very similar to work keys. It measures in all of the same areas that work keys measures, but it does give a little bit more information on the literacy and the reading capacity of those students taking the test. As you look at ours, you can see that we had, in Marlboro County, 70% of our students who tested Ready to Work. And that's a good predictor of kids who will be able to go out and should be able to secure employment and be a very good employee and be able to handle those things that our employers are looking for. But we want to increase that average. As you can see, the state average is 83%. State average is much higher, and we want to lead in these areas, and so we're going to continue to work on that. At this time, Mr. Farr, I'll ask him to come up. He can share some of the things we're doing at the high school to address our ELC scores and our performance on our WIN assessments.
Things we're doing at the high school to improve our EOC scores. We made some changes. We looked at our teachers. We made some changes with our teachers. For example, we used our department chair. She had some high scores last year just for one class. This year, she's taking on 2 classes per semester for U.S. history each semester, so we added her an additional class. Also, with our biology, we added earth science this year for our students who needed additional help first semester. So we looked at our data with our EOC scores for our kids who scored below average. So for example, 9th graders for ELA, we put them in earth science first semester. In the 10th grade and second semester, we feel like they'll be better prepared for biology EOCs. Also, we securing funding to run an after-school program to help with tutorial for our students, not only just for EOCs, but for our WIN testing. And also, we want all our students to be college and career ready, so we also do tutorial for ASVAB as well. Also, we do pull-outs. We look at our data. We just started map testing this year, and we map testing the 9th graders and the 10th graders in ELA and math. So we're looking at our data and we're doing pull-out throughout the school day.
I also want to note that Mr. Farr has sat down and discussed his plan with me, and I feel pretty comfortable, not just in talking with him, but also in talking with teachers and students, that they know what the charge is to move our district to the top in the PD. We wanted to show we're owning the data, and that's why we showed tonight where we currently stand in the PD, because next year this time, we feel pretty confident that we won't be in the same predicament as we are now. And so by owning the data, giving it to the teachers and giving it to the students, Mr. Farr and his staff is showing that they are committed to moving scores. And so we're appreciative of that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Farr, are we doing anything about classes for ACT and SAT?
Yes, ma'am. One thing we're going to look at is Edgenuity. They're going to help out with our students with ACT, SAT. We also doing after-school tutoring for ACT and SAT also.
I just wanted to include that in that after school. I think we need
Yes,
that
ma'am.
as well.
Mr. Harris, on your, I know in previous years, with the work keys, we had a larger percentage receiving that. This win, is that more rigorous, or what would be?
No, it's actually very comparable to the work keys. It's WIN won the state award for our readiness assessment because it provided some information back on literacy. So both the tests were fairly parallel. Now, they're not the same company, and this is the first year of the test, so that is baseline data. But as far as performance, we should still be striving to perform much better, because WIN just offers a little bit more in forms of the literacy capacity of those taking it and those things that can be shared with the employer. So it's not any more rigorous than the work keys. Okay? And one last thing before I sit down. In your information, I've included some of the information on scores on our end of course in terms of grades. And the reason I've done that is because as we move into this new report card and the new ratings, we'll move away from a language of passing the end of course, and we'll move to a language of how well they perform, because students will receive a certain amount of points for A's, B's, C's, and D's, similar to the old PAC when you had exemplary, above average, average. And so that's going to be very important, that we look past just saying how many we've had pass, but getting our kids to score in the higher quadrant.
And doesn't the EOC count for 20% of their grade?
It does.
Yes, it still does. That's the student's individual grade.
Whatever scores they make, that goes into their average.
Correct. And I want to go back to Ms. Fleming's question as it relates to WIN, and you'll notice it's consistent not just here in Marlboro County, but across the state. Whenever the state changes the assessment, scores tend to dip the first year because of the newness of the test, and then they pick back up, they level back up. So we feel pretty comfortable again that these scores will look and reflect differently on this particular school year. Thank you, Dr. Harris.
Makeup days.
Makeup days, as mentioned earlier, we were out of school for a total of 9 days, and so I'm asking the board, or I'm recommending that the board approve on our calendar, which was approved for the school days, the makeup days of January, I'm sorry, and you each have calendars. I'm asking that we use makeup days as January 17th, February 22nd, March 15th, and May 27th for a total of 4 days. However, I'm requesting that we also make additional changes. The state says for high school students to receive credit, they must accrue 120 seat time hours. That's a total of 85 days. If we move the first semester to close back to January up into the MLK break, and that's going to be January 17th, then we can meet the 85 days, which will give us enough for the seat time. We would then add a day for PD day after MLK, which would be the 22nd of January, to allow students and staff a time to come in and transition to second semester. We'll wait for the state legislators to guide us as to what will occur after that time. As you know, as a board, you have a right to waive 3 days and then request an additional 3-day waiver from the state. I'm asking that we hold off on that until we find out what the state is recommending that we do and that you allow these 4 days to be made up on our calendar.
Dr. McCord, last year we had conference with teachers about having time to transition from the semester to the next semester. And Mr. Farr, have you looked at this? Is this workable for you all? Okay. That's enough? Okay. We did discuss that.
Right,
so I'm happy
and that's
to
why
look
I
at
made the request, yes ma'am, which would give us a total of 4 days that we're asking now that we make up. The dates are January 17th, February 22nd, March 15th, and May 27th. And I apologize, and thank you for asking. McCall has days currently built into their calendar as well as makeup days, and we'll ask that those be approved as is on our calendar.
All the makeup days are in the second semester.
Yes, sir, but we're also moving the first semester back to meet the 120-hour seat time requirement, which we have an extension that's been granted for the EOCs. So it gives students and staff an opportunity to make those days up as best possible, prepare for the test, and then transition from first semester to second semester.
Is there any special reason why when our children are not doing so well in a course and they take credit recovery, but they can't take the EOC after they do credit recovery? It has to be at the regular time. That's what I'm reading and something we're going to get to. I'm a little concerned about that, and we'll talk
Dr.
about
Harris.
that, okay?
I'm not sure when you say you're reading.
When your kids take the actual formal course,
yes,
and then they take an EOC because that EOC becomes 20% of that course, whether they take it one time or take it again as a whole course. When they take credit recovery just allows them to recover the credit, but there's only a threshold grade that they can get, so that doesn't count as a separate unit when it comes to it. Just allows them the opportunity to move their grade from a failing grade to enough for passing.
but if the EOC grade is added into the failing grade and the credit recovery does not help that, see what I'm saying?
Credit recovery allows them to recover the credit. It does
Right,
not
it
change
has nothing
EOC
about their
score.
grade.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Unless
That's
they-
interesting.
Yeah, unless they take the course
All over again.
Right.
Highly qualified teachers and administrators.
I don't have any items on that, ma'am.
Bet you don't.
I do want to go back to the calendar and just to close it out so that we are clear on what we are expecting for all employees to make up days. I have additional days that as superintendent I'll be placing on the calendar for 240-day employees. And those days are October 12th, October 15th, November 6th, November 21st, February 15th, February 18th, and May 27th. Thank you.
Fiscal responsibility.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. McCord, you have before you the financial report as of September 26, 2018. I don't know if you have any questions regarding the report.
I have a question regarding finances. How much does it cost each year per foreign teacher, or when their visas are being done?
It depends. Are you talking about their salary and wages, or are you talking about
The finances that are different for a foreign teacher versus a nationalized.
She's asking how much does it cost for the district to sponsor
to
a
sponsor?
teacher?
The sponsorship is typically about $5,000
To sponsor a,
to sponsor.
okay.
And how much do we give to new teachers to relocate here?
The only thing we do have some incentives, and it depends on what their performance is, and of course that was through the Rural Recruitment Grant, and I'll be glad for
Let me let Ms. Robinson
Ms.
come up and
Robinson to
respond to
address that.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, board members,
Good
Dr.
evening.
McCord. Could you repeat the question?
Good evening. Oh, how much does it cost for a sponsorship of a foreign teacher, and how much do we pay new teachers that are U.S. citizens to come here, what kind of incentives do we pay?
There's not a set fee for the international teachers because for every teacher so far that I've seen, we are not using the same attorney. Marlboro County School District does not use just one attorney for every case. So for example, when I came on in August, I'm dealing with at least 3 or 4 different attorneys. So it can range from 5. I've gone all the way up to 10. It can be more because as you know with attorney fees, every time you call, every time there's a form, every time they're contacted, that's additional fees. There's not a set fee to say less. For example, I can't say every employee is $7,500. Some could be 5, some could go all the way up to 10 or more. As far as new teachers, to my knowledge, there's not a sign-on bonus for moving here. We do have the E3 grant, which is an incentive for teachers that have proven test scores, effective teachers, and now we're going to extend that to administrators that if they sign on with a 5-year agreement, they can receive up to $7,500. But that is
I
through
remembered
E3.
8,000 from somewhere. Is that accurate or not?
It's 7,500.
I know now, but in the past, where's my brain getting $8,000 from?
Yeah. That was TAP.
Okay. All right.
And excuse me, let me just follow that up. When we do have out-of-country teachers, does that save us any money as a district in terms of how we pay them?
No, ma'am. I don't
Okay.
see where. And another piece to that is also the manpower it takes to complete that application process. For example, the first week that I arrived here, I probably spent the first week just finishing up applications. We were at a conference just last 2 or 3 weeks ago. Districts this size with the number of international teachers that we have, they have a full-time person to do that paperwork. It is a very intensive process.
Does our school board, does our school board attorney not have any play in that? Have we ever involved them?
No, and currently we have, and I think I presented this at the board meeting in July. We have almost 30 international teachers here in the district. And so this is an international friendly district that we operate, and it's been that way for quite some time.
So would you say it's a lot of trouble to do the international forms and all of the applications?
I will say that I do not currently have the manpower to handle the number of teachers that we have going through the process.
So it's just easier to send them back?
No, let me say it this way. We do have concerted efforts to do everything that we can to find teachers here domestically. I've mentioned that also at the board meeting this past summer. Our goal is to attract teachers that will not cost the district money. International teachers do come at a price. Not saying that it's not a necessity, but by all means, if we can avoid that cost, we're going to do so because every penny that we save goes back into our budget and we can share it with our teachers.
I had heard, maybe Wes could help me here, but one thing we do save with international teachers because of the retirement system and other.
There is this transition period. The first couple years, they're not required to participate within the retirement system, as well as the district to pay into Social Security tax. So there are some savings there. And before, we've also had scenarios where we weren't providing them with health insurance. However, we were paying a fee in exchange for that. So you really have to make the comparison in order to see exactly what the difference is. And depending on what their degrees are in terms of what that actual cost is, of course, when they become an employee of the district.
That was my understanding as well. That's why I asked that question, that there were savings initially, at least the first 3 years, in terms of what we contribute to
Correct.
their well-being.
So you would say that an average would be 7,500 since it goes from 10 to 5 to 10. And what would you say the savings would be? Would it be approximately the same or more or less?
The costs are very similar between international as well as, in comparison with domestic.
And we can run a
And we
report.
would be glad to
Share
share
that.
that information with you at the next
When a
meeting.
teacher's been here 11 years, would you say the costs go down or they?
Well, what tends to happen, the longer an international teacher is here, the more of the benefits they participate in. So then, of course, they are participating in the retirement system. So that's a cost. Then there's also the cost of insurance because they're no longer being sponsored by another outside agency to say they're actually on our insurance coverage. So there are things like that. As the longer the international teachers stay with the district, the more of the regular type of expenditures we have, and maybe the less of the contracted type of expenses we have for them. So it's a little bit of a trade.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Are there any questions about the financial report?
Nope.
All right, goal 4, policy development and implementation votes are needed. The leave policy and procedures.
Well, the leave policy has not been presented. That is actually on the agenda, just to let you know that I will be bringing a new policy for you to review at our next board meeting. The other policies that are listed here were presented at last month's meeting, and you have the changes, the additions and deletions that were made in the back of your book, and so it is up for reading. There's no vote required on tonight.
When we have a reading, does that not mean a vote?
I thought you went with 3 readings here before we voted, if I remember.
No.
Okay, all right.
You announce, when you change a policy, you announce it 1 month ahead of the beginning of readings. And then a reading means a vote. And you vote, and then you have to vote again, not closer than 7 days, and it has to be at consecutive meetings.
I'm just going on our last meeting, what we did, but it's up for a vote.
All right, the leave policy and procedures, that one is being just announced this time. All right. The next one is establishing a new policy for first reading, and it has to do with the use of money and property for personal use. And it does not have a letter. I thought it had to have a letter, but I talked with Scott Price at the School Board Association, and they do not assign a category until it is passed, and then we send it to the School Board Association, and they assign a letter and a place for it to be in the policy manual. And I'll read this. The policy would be effective immediately, after the second reading. Effective immediately, no district funds, equipment, or property absent unusual or exceptional circumstances shall be used for private or personal use, and then only when any such use is documented in writing, approved by the superintendent and a board officer, with subsequent notice to the board, and made a permanent part of the district's financial records.
You want to vote on them each one?
Yes.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion as on the first reading of the policy as you read it, even though we don't have a letter for it.
Any discussion?
Call for the question then.
All right. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Ms. Fleming, are you opposed or abstaining? Abstaining. All right, so it's passed for first reading with Ms. Fleming abstaining. All right. And revision to board policies IKA-R, first reading. This is the credit and recovery and retaking of courses.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
All right. All in favor, please raise your right hand. And it's passed unanimously. Okay. Next is revision of policy AC, non-discrimination dash equal, I don't know, equal what?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we move forward with policy AC, GBA, GCE, GCEC, GCF, and GDF.
Good deal. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Madam Chairman, there's discussion here on one. I have one of those policies. I just want to ask about it, and that's policy GCF, professional staff hiring. In the red line, that is a change. It indicates, let's look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the 8th paragraph, second from the bottom on page, it's not numbered. Let's find GCF.
GCEF. No, it's not in chronological order. Hold on.
It's GCF right here. Third from the back. Third from the back.
I got it.
Okay. Paragraph starts, this is talking about vacancies in staff, professional staff. Should a vacancy occur in a position during the year, the board authorizes the superintendent to fill such vacancies for the remainder of the school year in which the vacancy occurs, pursuant to a letter of agreement when appropriate. The thing I'm questioning is the next sentence. It says the superintendent or his designee may determine whether advertising the vacancy is necessary or whether the position may be filled through some other means. It has been our policy prior to this that we do advertise, at least within our parameters as well as outside, and I believe that that's a better policy. So I have,
isn't it the law?
I believe it is, and that's it may not be, but it certainly is. Our board policy has been in the past that we would do that, and there have been requests on the part of our staff often that didn't happen, not under your watch. But I would like to see that.
Would you like to make an amendment to the motion?
I don't have any objection to it.
Okay. All right.
That's an easy one.
Okay.
I think that was put in for special circumstances. In other words, when you post a vacancy, are we going to say we're going to definitely interview because we posted a vacancy, and then if so, are we going to interview 3 candidates? If I know a person has a particular area of interest, a specialty of sorts, I don't want to prolong a hire opportunity just for the sake of going through a dog and pony show, so to speak. But I have no objection to adding or changing that.
So you'd interview and then hire who you were planning to in the first place?
I can't tell you that would be my practice, no. But
I have a feeling it would be. But do you want to make an amendment?
Well, I would just, I suppose I would amend it to say advertising the vacancy is necessary.
Okay. All right. So now we're getting ready to, it's getting complicated.
Advertise without going through 10 interviews.
We'll advertise instead of
It's
make.
just giving notice so that people who might be interested and he might not be aware of it, that would come forward.
Okay. So
being fair to our employees.
So we have a motion to do all of them with an amendment on policy GCF. We must vote on the amendment first. So all in favor of the amendment, please raise your right hand. 1, 2, keep them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's passed. All opposed?
I oppose it.
Okay. Where are you, Mr.? Okay. How about you, Ms. Winter? Okay. Did you get that, Ms. Robinson? Okay, good deal. Thank you for making the motion for all of them, Mr. Coachman. So we're done with that. Goal 5, supervision and evaluation of the superintendent.
Wait a minute, we voted on the amendment. Now we have to vote on all of them.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to do the rest of them.
That's all right.
Thank you.
There you go.
All in favor of all of them with the amendment in there, raise your right hand. Okay. And that's passed unanimously. Thank you. All right. Goal 5, supervision and evaluation of the superintendent. I don't think we have anything there, do we? Board business action, consent agenda, second. Let's see. Mr. Coachman.
All right. Madam Chair, I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you very much. That's yours.